Hey guys, I'm back. I wanted to show how to set up the GitHub connection and use version control for a Databricks repo before I got distracted and got back to my work week. So let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. So I want to point out here in revision history, it's automatically using Git on the back end to track all of our changes. So, I could hop back to when we created this notebook this morning, right? And you'll notice if I click here, it says not linked, right? And so by default, it's going to want to connect to an Azure DevOps repo. Now, that's all fine and good. The issue is that I can't share that publicly, right? Like I could create an Azure or a Azure DevOps group using this MSDN account, but I'm kind of the philosophy that I might as well just use GitHub. Now, one of the things I want to talk about in the future, I think if I go in under one of these. So by default, Azure Databricks is going to connect to our Azure DevOps, right? That's the built-in connection. And so if we want to, we could integrate with GitHub, right? And so one of the issues is that happens at the notebook level. So like I can associate and like clear out these messages. I could associate this notebook and then the other notebook and then the other notebook. And that's pretty easy to do as you create new notebooks. I don't necessarily want to do it for everything we've already created. So in the future, I'll show how to set up that link. It's really just a matter of dropping in this token. But today I want to show the more difficult part, which is how you would ingest existing notebooks into your GitHub repo. So let's go back over to GitHub. And so I'm going to start a new project, and we'll call this, and really I want to call this Valorem Databricks user group, because that's what these demos are for. Okay, and we're going to make this public. This is part of why it's important to not have any API keys in here. And actually, I want to double check and go through. I can always make this public at a later time. But I think we can request access or make it public later, but I'll want to sweep through and make sure we don't have any keys still in there. Okay, and then we'll initialize, and then we'll add a git ignore, and we'll say that it's, I think there's one for Spark. Maybe it's under PySpark. Oh, maybe not. Well, we're not going to have that many extra things anyway, since we're not using an IDE. Okay, great. So now what I can do, I love this new actions thing, by the way. It's kind of a built-in DevOps. So I'm going to clone this, and so I want to open it. I think I have GitHub Desktop installed. We'll see. Yeah, maybe not. So I'll go ahead and set this up real quick. One of the other ways you can do it through either setting up an SSH key, and that's basically the same process as the token we saw on the Databricks side. You can also manage it through like Git Kraken or Visual Studio Code. And let me make sure I don't have Git Kraken installed. Yeah, I guess not. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and install this desktop setup. what's taking so long here. So I want to open it up off screen in case I've got something interesting already pulled up, or maybe I can just do a new window. The Visual Studio Code makes it pretty easy too, and I use that quite a bit. Obviously, these days I'm basically entirely in the Databricks online IDE, but I still like a good desktop client. Okay, so let's go to source control. Okay. So over here, we would want to go to extensions, extensions. And then we can look for GitHub. And now it's going to be a race. Okay, cool. So we've got OAuth. So I'm going to just call myself Spencer. And then we can do scook@valorem.com. Cool. Sure. Okay. And then I want to clone this. Okay, and we're going to go, I usually keep this in a root directory. I'll show you once I find it. Okay, so we're just under Valorem Databricks user group and then code. And we'll clone that, and we'll want to keep that in mind for later. And so now I can open my CMD, and then as always, we can run the Databricks command line utility. Okay, and in this case, we want the workspace again. Okay, and we can export a directory. And it's probably going to yell at us because it's going to want the directory, but we just want root. And so I can do this, and then I'll do this, and then let me pull up the directory for that repo again. Okay, so we'll do it like this, and hopefully, this probably wants quotes. We'll see. Oh. Where does it think the S is coming from? Okay, let's try with the H. I feel like I always end up doing that anyway. Yeah, that just wants to overwrite. Let me double check that I've got the syntax right here. Exporter. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, maybe it wants us to be more explicit. So we'll use, so this will just do root, and then this will export it to that scook directory. There we go. Okay, so since we know it's happy about that, it must just be an issue with our path. So let's see if we can do... Maybe if we do... I think it doesn't want quotes, but it also isn't happy with spaces. So as always with Windows, we'll have to basically hard return our spaces. So if we do maybe double quotes, and honestly, this is a nice advertisement for using the Linux subsystem for Windows instead. I think this worked. Okay, cool. And so we'll start to see stuff show up under here, under our changes. And so we can say initial commit, and then catching up to episode 2. Okay, and we'll commit this to master. Then we can push. Cool. And then if we come back over here, sometimes it takes a second. Okay, there we go. So I want to show one more thing here. So if I go into my profile settings, and then I believe it's going to be privacy. I think they might have moved some stuff. Maybe it's under... They've moved so much stuff around. I don't want to create it from the command line. Oh, it says for the command line. Duh. Okay, so verify my email. I verified it. Developer settings. Okay, that makes sense. So we were in the right place. I'm so used to DevOps at this point. Okay, developer settings, and then personal access tokens. Okay, so I want to generate a new one, and this will be for Databricks, or let's just do VDUG. Don't need to do the package repo, don't need user keys. I don't think I really need any of this. Okay, so I'm going to generate it off screen just so that it's not a public key. Okay, so I've got it copied, And then I'll come back over to Databricks. And then this is probably going to show up too. So I'm going to paste it in. Oh, no, nice. They've got it covered. So then I click save. Okay. And then if I go and create something for episode 3, I can go up here. I can link, and I can go to over on data or on GitHub. Where'd my tab go? Okay, so I need to copy this, I believe. We'll see. Or it wants a link to the file. We'll see. Cool, so that's committed, now synced, and we'll save now. Okay, and that would commit it to Git. And so that commit should be saved, and let's see if it gets pushed to. So we got 3 commits. Okay, and we can see the episode 3 commit. Okay, cool. Oh, that got created under notebooks. That's fine. Let's go back and fix it though, because as we've seen, I will forget by next time. So we want this in the root. There we go. Cool. Okay, and I can clean this out later. Actually, I bet if we do, so I should be able to do a fetch. And so it pulled my 2 commits, and so over here, again, this is a fun little Windows thing, but I have to click on this to get it to refresh. Let's see. Did it actually sync? Oh, need to pull? Duh. Okay, and I'm going to delete this directory. Okay, so that's version control in Databricks using GitHub. If anyone has version control systems that they'd like to see covered, I'd be more than happy to show examples of that too. And then in the future, I'll share this repo and we'll talk about how to access it. Like I said, it's private right now. I just need to make sure there's no secrets that got exposed or anything. Just trying to be kosher about that. Yeah, and then I want to probably use this README maybe as our link repository and where we sort of, collect notes between episodes. So look out for that. Thanks, guys.